All right, good. All right, so hope everybody's doing well and safe. Today, I'm going to present you the updated news about the college admissions for 2021 and 2022. I had another seminar last year in November. That was the latest one that I had. And some of the information that I had from the seminar is going to be shared with you, especially the college admission rate from the last year's admissions. And then there are a few important issues which have been brought up to, especially to our attention, meaning from the elite, the corporate level. And that was especially about the issues about the online teaching and the how students manage to learn online, and also the what they learn or how they learn through the online teaching. So there are like a lot of issues brought up by the students. So we're going to touch bases on those issues and how the colleges think about these online classes, especially the AP classes, which are going to be very important factor for the college admissions now. I mean, the AP class has been always the important for the college admissions, but it's getting more important. All right, so let's just start with the 2020 admissions rate. So I have 29 colleges on this list, and these are non-IB and non-UC. So these are 29 very popular colleges that a lot of students from the high schools in these areas apply every year. So starting from Baylor University, many people, many students who want to do like a pre-med, they're thinking about going to medical school, they choose Baylor University. Now, Baylor is in Texas, and Baylor is not like a really strong university to go to, meaning that the admission, the requirement is not as severe as like UCLA, UC Berkeley, but you're still gonna have very good education. So as you can see, the name of the schools on the left-hand side, and then the number of applicants and number of admits, meaning that how many people got into these colleges, and the admission rate. So Baylor, it's very popular. Especially they're really popular with the BSMD program. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the BSMD. BSMD is Bachelor of Science and Medical Program together, meaning that if you enroll or if you get accepted into BSMD program, that means you are already in a medical school. So Baylor University is really very popular. However, for Baylor, the admit rate from last year was like a 45%. So it's pretty kind of like an easy school to get into, but BSMD program is very different. I think the acceptance rate is around like 7%. So definitely the requirement is going to be different. So there are many colleges in America with the BSMD program. And I think probably the toughest BSMD program that you can get into is the Brown University, right? So if you're interested in pre-med and your profile is like really strong, then you might want to check out like BSMD program. And Boston College and Boston University, very popular colleges or popular schools from these areas that so many students want to go to Boston, the college or university. They're really famous with the liberal art majors, pre-law or business, or even like, the computer science is okay, engineering is okay, but those two colleges are more concentrated on like business and like a law and pre-med side. Caltech, I mean, everybody knows Caltech. So if you're so much into engineering, computer science, or science research, then that school is gonna be it. But Caltech is called a hidden IB. So in fact, Caltech, Carnegie Mellon, and also Case Western, Case Western a little on the low side, Claremont McKenna, and Emory. Now these are all like hidden IB meaning that these schools are as good as IVs, and at the same time, these schools are very difficult to get in. So if you look at the admission rate, Caltech is like around 6% and Carnegie Mellon 15%. However, now Caltech is always tough, but Carnegie Mellon's computer science program is one of the top in the nation. So if you want to try Carnegie Mellon, computer science major, that admission rate is not going to be the rate for you. It's going to be way less than 15%. And a lot of competitions. And also Carnegie Mellon is pretty famous with the engineering program. And Case Western, they're pretty good with pretty much like all the majors. And Claremont McKenna, they're very strong in engineering and some other majors. So a lot of people want to try Claremont McKenna. That's like, I guess, Western side or West Coast Ivy. So as you can see that the admission rate is only 10%. Now Duke, the pretty hard school to go to, but it really depends on the major though. Luckily, I had quite a good number of students whom we helped with their college application previous years, and many of them actually got into Duke. So the 8% or almost like a 9% is pretty low on the admit side, but if your profile is pretty good, then you should be okay with Duke University. Emory, strongly recommend for liberal art majors. Very good school. All right, so you should consider the school if you want to do like pre-law, pre-med, business. Then definitely that's going to be the school that you want to consider. Even like other majors, to English and the history major, that would be good. And Fordham is very popular school. Not so many people actually know about this school, but that's like one of the most desired like mid-range universities that a lot of students want to go to. So the admission rate is around like 46%, but that also depends on which major that you're going to choose. The next one, the George Washington and Georgetown, very, very famous schools with liberal art majors like a political science, business, econ, English. They're not like really famous with the engineering and computer science, but they're rising up. And that's because that a lot of schools which are very strong in like a liberal arts, now they see the popularity and also future demand like engineering and computer science. So they're developing those programs. So George Washington, easier to get in. So the admit rate was like a 40%. Georgetown is pretty tough, so 14%. So if you're considering that you want to become a lawyer or you want to go into the politics, then definitely Georgetown is going to be one of the universities that you want to put it on your college list. Harvey Mudd, so that's one of the 3 Southern California Ivy. So Claremont McKenna and the Harvey Mudd and the Pomona College. So these are 3 very, very difficult the college to get in. So the admission rate is around like 13%. Pomona is like a 7%. So these colleges are all famous with like an engineering program and other majors they're always proud of. Now we call it LMU, the number 14. So Loyola Marymount University. Now LMU is way easy to get into, but that school is pretty famous with the pre-med program. So if your GPA or if your high school profile is not like really too strong, but you want to pursue the pre-med program, then definitely I recommend the LMU. And MIT, I mean, we don't need any word for that school, right? So the admission rate is like a 6.74%. NYU, New York University, I think that's like either first or second, the most popular school that not only the guys, but the girls want to go to. I mean, I guess they want to go to New York. But NYU is really famous with like the law program, business program, pre-med program. I mean, you name it, right? So the admission rate is like a 16%, and last year alone, like a 79,000 people applied. So if you're thinking NYU, you're gonna have to have your like profile ready, right? It's not like easy school to get in. Now, many students get mixed up with Northeastern, Northwestern. Northwestern is a lot harder to get in. Northwestern is more like Ivy type of school. Northeastern is a lot easier. So Northeastern depends on like which the major that you choose. It could be very easy to get in. So many students that are helped with their college applications, Northeastern becomes their like either target or safety schools. Because you're attending like Doherty High or Cal High, Dublin High. And if you are in like top 20% of your class, then Northeastern should be okay. Northwestern is hard, all right? So they're pretty famous with pretty much like many majors, but very good school. but at the same time, it's pretty tough school to get into. So 9% the admit rate from last year. Pepperdine. Now, I'm not sure whether you know Pepperdine University or not. It's the one of the most beautiful campus university in California or in West Coast. They're like right on the hill of Malibu Beach, and it's just a beautiful campus. Oh, I'm sorry. And they are very famous with the business program and the liberal art program. So if you're very interested in like business, then definitely I recommend that. And 31% the admit rate from last year. And we talked about the Pomona College. Now, RPI, that's the Rensselaer Polytech Institute. That's like the MIT or Caltech type, but it's a lot easier to get in, but they do have very strong computer science and engineering program. So if you're interested in any of those and you want to challenge, you want to go like the East Coast to study, then definitely I recommend RPI. So Berkeley and LA, pretty tough to get into. And these days, like most of the UCs have very strong computer science and engineering programs, it becomes like really tough. So if you don't mind, parents, sending your child to East Coast for computer science or the engineering program, I don't think that you're going to regret that you send your child to RPI. Rice University. Up to a few years ago, not so many people like really knew about Rice University, but Rice University has been like a rising star. And they have very powerful programs. So engineering, computer science, pre-med, business, they're developing very, very fast and very, very strong. So as you can see, Rice University now is one of the best known hidden Ivy school from Texas or in Texas. So the admission rate is like at 8.72%. And so if you want to pursue your major in pre-med or engineering, or especially like engineering and computer science, I strongly recommend Rice University, unless like you don't want to go to Texas. Santa Clara. So many students, I had like a 55 college application students last year, and almost like everybody applied for the Santa Clara. And it's a good school to go to, pretty strong in business, econ, like a liberal art. How's their computer science program? They're not bad. You shouldn't have any very like challenges or difficult times. Try to get a job after graduating from Santa Clara with a computer science major. Admission rate is pretty high, like a 48 or almost 49%. Stanford, it's the toughest school to get into. Even Harvard is like easier to get in than Stanford. So Stanford, you're really going to have very, very strong and extraordinary profile for you to get into Stanford with almost like any major, right? So they have really good the pre-med program, engineering, computer science, science, the business and pre-law, you name it. But in order for you to go to the school, then you're really going to have very, very strong the profile. Tulane. Now, Tulane is another, it's kind of like tough school to get into, but I had like not so many students actually apply to Tulane from here, but that school also have like really, really good programs. So like liberal art majors, especially, those, concentrate on those. But in my understanding, that they are developing more like an engineering and computer science program these days. Notre Dame, you know that school, right? So that school could be considered as one of the hidden Ivies. So the admission rate was about like 16% last year. USC, you probably know the USC, reputation of USC. When I went to UCLA, USC was like a no match to UCLA. But nowadays, USC sometimes a lot harder or a better school than UCLA. So it really depends on majors. So USC is really famous with business, definitely, right? So if you're interested in becoming entrepreneur or you want to go into business, then definitely USC should be on the top list. And music. I personally, even though I went to UCLA, USC Music School is better than UCLA. Maybe it's not true for the UCLA graduates, but yes, they have very strong the music program, also film and movie making, movie production. USC is at the top list. So the 11.42%, that percentage or the admission rate was lower than UCLA from last year. Vanderbilt, not so many people know about Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt, the name speaks it, right? So very good school and also liberal art college, but they do have pretty good like STEM side programs. So if you're interested in the schools in the East Coast, don't forget to put that school on your list. And WashU, we call it WashU, Washington University in St. Louis. Oh my goodness, they're really, really strong in biological science. So, over the past, I don't know how many years, but they were holding the reputation of being like number 5, number 4, or sometimes number 3 with the biological science program. So a lot of people who want to do pre-med, they actually go to, or they want to go to, WashU. Tough school, right? So WashU is another like hidden Ivy school, and the admission rate from last year was 13 or almost 14%. So that was the 29, the most popular schools from these areas. All right, so let's take a look at the Ivy League admissions rate from last year. So 8 schools in the Ivy League: Brown, Columbia, Cornell, Dartmouth, and Harvard, Princeton, UPenn, and Yale. And you know what they are good for, right? So out of all these 8 schools, as you can see, that Harvard is the toughest school to get into, but it really depends on which major you choose though. But in overall, yes, Harvard has that name. Very, very difficult school to go to. Now I'm going to talk about the admission requirements and profile eligibility for the IVs later on. But literally, I mean, you're really going to have the best profile for you to have so that you could try one of or a few of these schools. Now, one thing that you have to keep it in your mind is that if you're interested in these schools, one of the first things that you should check out is how many students from your school actually went to these Ivy school or hidden Ivy schools. So what I hear from, what I hear every year from the students from these areas is that not so many of them actually get into these schools academically. I mean, they're like Monte Vista is pretty famous with the sports. So I heard that many athletes, they got into Stanford or some of the Ivies, but academic students, it's just 1 or 2 each year. Right, so you're really going to have to be in that category for you to have higher chance for you to get into. So if you are curious about like what kind of eligibility that you should have, I mean, academic eligibility or the requirements going to be pretty much the same, right? So I'm going to talk about that later, but you might want to, if you know anybody or any of your friends who actually went to any of the Ivy League or the hidden Ivy, then you might want to get some information about what kind of extracurricular activities they had so that I guess you could follow their footsteps because extracurricular activity is equally important as GPA for these schools. So without having like extraordinary the extracurricular activities, but you have very strong GPA and test scores, that's not gonna get you like the IVs and hidden IVs. So let's keep that in our minds, okay? So you can see the admission rate: Brown 7%, Columbia 5%, and Cornell 10%, Dartmouth almost 8%, Harvard 4.6, Princeton 5.4, and UPenn 7.6, and Yale 6.08. Now these rates are already too low. However, if you apply for a popular major on campus, so UPenn is a business program, the Wharton business. I mean, you're not going to be a Wharton business school student, but if you choose business major for UPenn, that rate is going to be lower than 7.6%. Right, because a lot of competitions among the students, and definitely the same thing with Brown. So Brown, as I said, that their BSMD program, I think, is the nation's top. And also Columbia and Cornell, I mean, these are all famous schools, right? So just look at that and challenge it if you, if you want to go to the Ivies, okay? All right, so UC admissions. So let's take a look at UC Berkeley. So last year, 88,000 people applied and 15,000 people got admitted, and the overall admit rate was 17.5%. But here, what I want you to pay attention to is the chart at the bottom. It says GPA and test scores of a middle 25% to 75% students, and you're going to fall into that category. However, if you're interested in, or if you're planning to apply for engineering, computer science, or a pre-med major, then you're really going to have to consider 75% or higher the category. So the UC Berkeley high school GPA last year, like the average GPA was from 4.13 to 4.30, but believe me, with 4.30 GPA and you are considering any engineering major at UC Berkeley, your chance to get into that department, slim, all right? So for the engineering, you're really gonna have to have around 4.5 GPA. So as I said, it depends on which major that you choose. And same thing with the UC Berkeley business program, all right? And also you wanna pursue your like education in Berkeley for pre-med, then I would say probably like in a 4.4 or 4.5 GPA, then you're gonna be safe. So what if your GPA is under 4.13? Can you still apply for UC Berkeley? Yes, you could, right? And the first reason is that the GPA is not the only thing that Berkeley is looking for. So there's like extracurricular activities and other factors. But if your GPA is like a 3.8, 3.7, and you want to try Berkeley, I'm really, really sorry to say this, your chance to get into UC Berkeley is going to be almost a 1 or 2%. Right? So the GPA really, really matters depending on which uses that you're going to choose and you want to submit your application. Okay. Now, last year, because of COVID, UCs were prohibited to take the SAT and ACT scores for the admissions. So that score is no longer like valid, but that was from 2019, 2020 admissions. And so the Berkeley ACT scores from 29 to 35, and SAT, the reading and writing score 650 to 750, and the SAT math score 670 to 790. Now, engineering and computer science major, now especially the engineering major that you're considering. Now I'm going to talk about what's going to happen to UC, the SAT and ACT requirement later on. But let's say that it opens up and the UC say that we'll take SAT score. For engineering, you're going to have above 1500 the SAT scores for the UC Berkeley, and 35 or perfect score on the ACT. Right? So that's the scores that the engineering department or the School of Engineering wants to see. And other majors, if you're considering like pre-med, then definitely the score has to be around like between 1450 and 1500, but that's still in the kind of like in the mid range. So for you to be competitive, then definitely you want to have scores around 1500 or higher for pre-med major and even computer science. Now, UC Berkeley has two different kinds of computer science majors. So the most popular one is under their engineering department, and it's called the EECS program, so EECS. So EECS means the electrical engineering with computer science program, one of the most popular programs on the UC Berkeley campus, and many students from these areas, they apply for the program. If you're considering that program, then definitely your GPA has to be 4.5 and the SAT score above 1500, ACT score 35 if you choose to do the ACT, and your extracurricular activity has to be very, very good. And so in general, if you want to do engineering, the most schools going to ask you to have SAT subject math 2 test score. So that's like mandatory, it is required. So you're going to have to go for. Now I'm going to speak about this a little later on. Okay. UC Davis, a very good school with the biological science program. Davis, the biology program or anything related to biology, it's nation's top. All right, so you're not going to regret if you go to UC Davis, and a lot of people from UC Davis, they apply for the medical school. So last year, 76 or almost 77,000 people applied, and almost 36,000 people got admitted, and the over admission rate was 46.6%, pretty high. So I'm very curious about this year's admission rate. I mean, last year, because of the COVID, many colleges opened more doors for their applicants, because of the COVID situations, many students just couldn't go to the schools, and that was because, especially the international students. So the schools had to open more doors for the waitlisted students to get in. So it was a little higher than the years before. I'm very curious about this year's admission rate, because SAT was prohibited from the UCs, ACT was prohibited, and I wonder how the admission rate would be changed. So this is UC Davis, and the high school GPA from 3.97 to 4.25. So once again, I want you to pay attention to the GPA requirement, okay? And ACT score 26 through 33, and that's the SAT scores demanded or desired, used to. And the next school is Irvine, very popular school. All right, so they're good with engineering, computer science, pre-med, business, econ. I mean, they're a very good school. So Irvine, almost like 98,000 people applied, and 29,000 people got admitted, and about 30% admit rate, and that's the GPA and tester requirement or the scores. And LA, oh my goodness, the most, I guess, the popular UC campus, right? So over 100,000 people applied, and only 15,643 people got admitted. And so the admission rate is like a 14.4%. All right, so same thing. So if you're considering engineering from UCLA or computer science from UCLA and the like a pre-med from UCLA, then your GPA has to be around 4.4, 4.5 or higher, and then you will be okay. And the ACT scores such, and then the SAT scores. So once again, if your GPA is under 4.0, are you going to have some chance to get into UCLA? It's going to be very slim, right? I'm really going to have to be honest with you. The 3.8 GPA, and you want to challenge computer science program or pre-med program, you will, I hate to say this in this way, you will have almost 0% to get in if your GPA is 3.8 or 2.9. So please pay attention to your GPA, because GPA is all time the #1 factor for college admissions. Okay, so the remaining stat right there. And let's see, the next one is Merced. Now, Merced is the youngest UC, right? And then, a lot of students, they don't want to even go to Merced. But Merced has a lot of future, right? And they're developing a lot. They're trying to develop the programs more and better, because they want to be in the mainstream, right? And so they are doing a lot of investment. They're building a lot of programs. So last year, almost 26,000 people applied, and 22,000 people got admitted. So it's like 85%. So if your parents said that you can't go to CSU, the Cal State University, you have to go to the UC. But if your profile is not really strong enough to go to other UCs, Merced is going to be a good school. All right. So with a mediocre, or mid-range profile, and if you go to Merced and you do really top from UC Merced, and you try to get a job, I don't think that you should have any problem. All right. So that's the GPA and also the test, the scores for UC Merced. And UC Riverside. UC Riverside is the second easiest school to get into among the UCs. So 49,000 people apply, and 32,000 or 32,708 people got admitted, so 66%. So by looking at this figure, you probably feel that, hey, that's 66%. I mean, that's easy to get in. Well, let's wait and see whether you're going to have a very good chance to get in or not. And the high school GPA from 3.65 to 4.11, and those are the test scores. San Diego, another very popular school, right? So over 90,000 people applied, and 38,000 people got admitted, and 38% chance. So that rate is different. Once again, that rate is different for engineering, computer science, and pre-med program or majors, right? So it's going to be a lot lower than the average admit rate. And please check out the GPA and also the test scores. And Santa Barbara, they are rising star among the UCs. They're getting more popular for the past, over the past few years. So Santa Barbara, when I went to UCLA, Santa Barbara was like, okay, Santa Barbara, beautiful campus, UC. But nowadays, I mean, oh my goodness, their programs are pretty strong, right? So starting with the engineering down to like any major that you choose, very good UC campus to go to. So 90,000 people applied and 33,000 people got admitted and about 37% admission rate. And that is the GPA and the test score requirement or the average scores they have. And Santa Cruz, very close by here. And Santa Cruz is probably like third easiest UC to get in. However, their engineering and computer science program is a little different, right? So any school that you consider, engineering, it's going to be always tougher than any other major that you choose, okay? So 55,000 people applied and 35,000 people got admitted, and then 65% the admission rate, and that's the high school GPA and the test scores. So this is UC. Now, this is just a sample because I wanted to find each college under each UC campus and the admission rate, but many of the UCs did not post like a detailed admission rate. So I'm just giving it as an example for the UCLA, and it's going to be pretty much the same for almost like all, not just the UCs, but from pretty much all colleges. Now, if you look at like each college, any college, right? So UCLA, Berkeley, all the UCs and other private colleges, you're going to see the different college under the university. So for UCLA, a lot of majors going to be fall into College of Letters and Science. So letters and science include all the science majors and math majors and also econ, business. No, they don't have business. So and the like anthropology and psychology, social, it all goes down to or goes into the College of Letters and Science. It used to be, most of the UCs had College of Letters and Science, but these days they changed the structure. So some UCs, they took biology or biology-related major out of the College of Letters and Science and made a separate college. And I guess that was because of the popularity of the major. And also the private colleges call it, I think, the arts and science. So that's equal to the College of Letters and Science. So UCLA, 74,000 people applied and 12,000 people were admitted. And the admission rate for the Letters and Science major, that was 17%. Now, Henry Simeoli School of Engineering, that's the engineering major and computer science major for UCLA. So the rate is 11%. So 24,000 people applied. That's a lot, right? And only about like 10 or 11% people, 2,666 people got in, right? Now, School of Music is really famous at UCLA. So if you, the music, art, architecture, and also like a film, these are all special majors. So if you want to choose or if you want to try any of these special majors, they all going to require a portfolio and audition or an audition, right? So you're going to have to check out their requirements. So the music, 23%. School of Nursing, I mean, UCLA School of Nursing is nation's top, right? So 1%. And the architecture program, well, between UCLA and UC Berkeley, which one has the better architecture program? And my heart actually goes to UC Berkeley. So if you really want to become and study the architecture, and I think UC Berkeley should be the top choice, and then UCLA. Film, the television, and also theater art, that's UCLA, same thing with USC. So you could see the admission rate there. So this is, by each college, okay? Now, this is gonna be very interesting. So this is something I really want you to pay attention to, because in next year or this year, or next year, you're going to be applying for colleges. So if you're a junior year, then you're going to start working on your applications starting like earliest as like this May, but latest like August of this year. And if you're a sophomore, then definitely it's gonna happen next year. So what you're gonna do is that you're really gonna have to find out like how many people actually applied for like UCs, all UCs, and how many people actually got in. So I was very fortunate to find out these statistics from UCs. And so from Doherty Valley, last year, 538 students applied for all UCs, right? And 380 students got admitted. And out of that 386, 203 students actually enrolled, right? So that's a pretty good number. But it's not 538. I understand. I think Doherty Valley High, each class is going to be around like 800, a little bit more than 800. So if you see the 538, wow, I could be one of those. No, you have to be in the 386 number. However, there's a little difference between female and male applicant number and also the admitted number. So if you're a female student at Doherty Valley High, last year, 283 female students applied for the UCs, and out of the 284, 204 students got in. So if you're a female student at Doherty Valley High, you have to be in the 204 student level. Right, so out of like 800, we're talking about what is that? So 800, 10% is like 80. So within that 20%, if you're in there, then you're okay. I mean, yes, definitely you are eligible for applying for the UCs. However, if you're going to do engineering, computer science, or pre-med, the popular majors, then your number has to be within that 204. You kind of have to be in that like around 10 to 15% range, all right? So especially if you're choosing UC Berkeley and UCLA, okay? And guys, so 250 students, male students applied for the UCs last year, 179. So you have to be in that 179, okay? The next school, Cal High, 277 students applied and 185 were admitted and 97 students enrolled, okay? And that's the female students and the male students. So out of 153 applied, 104 got admitted and 57 actually enrolled. And 122 male students applied and 81 students admitted and 40 students enrolled. So you see that there's a big number between admitted and enrolled. Right? So, and that's because these students applied for other colleges and probably they found better colleges to enroll, okay? Monte Vista, so 251 applicants and 146 admits and the 82 enroll, and that's the female and male stat, okay? And Dublin High, right? So another very competitive high school in this area, and 304 applicants and 218 students got admitted and 116 enrolled, and female and male statistics there. San Ramon Valley, so 167, 96, and 41, and the female and male numbers there. Amador Valley, so pretty large school. So 348 applied and 241 and 119 were enrolled. And so you will see that most of the high schools had higher number of female students apply for the UCs than the number of male students. And I don't think that that is because the female students were like, they have better academic profile or the high school profile than the male students. It's just the population, I think is because of the population ratio, right? So that kind of tells me that every high school, there's like more girls than guys. I could be wrong, I'm not like saying 100% sure. So you'll find out like there are more female students apply for the colleges than the male students, okay? So this is a different case. Foothill, more guys and the girls. So 248 applicants, 175 were admitted and 93 were enrolled. Okay. Castro Valley, so 246, 169, and 102. Okay. and Northgate in Walnut Creek. So 166 applied and 113 were admitted and 61 enrolled. Livermore, so 101, 65, and 41, and Modesto. Now, I get many students for the SAT program and also college application program from Modesto High. So 112 students applied, 70 students were admitted, and 42 students enrolled. Okay. And Granada, 148, and 86, and 45. And Quarry Lane, one of the top the private schools in this area. And so they had like 52 students applied for the UCs, and 38 were admitted, and 17 were enrolled. Now you're going to see the number of the students applying for the UCs is a lot less than the public school. Obviously, it's a private school, right? And also, not so many people actually enroll to the UCs because the private, especially like Athenian, a lot of them go to the Ivies or top schools. So like from Athenian, 54 students applied, 31 got admitted, only 8 were enrolled. Now these are the high schools in Sacramento area, right? So Folsom, so the 127 applied and 73 were admitted and 42 enrolled. And Rockland, so you can see the stat. And Oak Ridge. And Franklin. All right, so that was from the high school. All right, so as I showed you the data or the statistics, once again, now you have to be in that number if you want to apply for the UCs, and definitely you're gonna have to be in that admitted number in order for you to have a better chance to get into any of the UCs. So I could put like so much emphasis on like if you're challenging or if you want to do popular majors from any of the UCs, then your profile has to stand out or better stand out than other students in your school. So getting into college, what's going to take you to get into a college? You probably know this already. So the first thing and the most important thing is going to be good grades, right? Nothing competes against your GPA. So a lot of students ask me, parents ask me the same question year after year. If the GPA is not too strong, can GPA be compensated by good test scores or really good extracurricular activities? Yes and no, right? So the first thing is, if you want to have, or if you want to look into a possibility or a chance for either test scores or the activities to compensate your kind of like low GPA, it's going to have to be very, very strong, right? But at the same time, your grade has to be on the borderline, right? So for engineering at UC Berkeley, and let's say that your GPA is 4.2, well, you're still going to have a chance, but it's like almost no chance, right? But let's say that you have extraordinary extracurricular activities and your name is pretty well known and you have like, how to say, you have this shining out the extracurricular activity that you can show through UC Berkeley. That could make a difference, right? So you have like so many awards from the competitions that you participated, which were like all related to like engineering, and you have like so many recognizable or acknowledgeable the activities, then yes, that could compensate little low GPA, but GPA has to be on the borderline, right? So nothing competes against good grades. So good grades doesn't mean that you take like easy classes and you get good grades. So the competitive colleges, now UCs and any college at the UC level, the first GPA they're going to be looking for is your not your weighted GPA, not the unweighted GPA. So in order for you to have good grades and standing out or like powerful GPA, you're going to have to take the challenging classes or rigorous classes. So let's say that for the 4 years of your high school time and you never took any APs or honors, chance for you to get into UC is going to be very, very slim, except like using Merced maybe, right? And that also depends on like which major you're going to choose. So challenging classes or the rigorous classes, now that is going to be very, very important. And at the same time, the UCs have this system which is called the capped weighted GPA, all right? So capped weighted GPA is that when they receive your application and when they review your transcript, they're going to try to look for 4 weighted classes from 10th and 11th grade. So I'm going to talk about a little bit more in details later on. The UCs, that they take the GPA from your 10th grade and 11th grade only. All right, so within those 2 years, if you don't have any APs or honors, then usually your application is going to be put aside. All right, and because there are like tons of people with at least like 1 or 2 APs or honors during that time. So especially you're coming from this area, you're going to have those. Right. And even to me, like 4 weighted classes in 10th and 11th grade is not enough, especially like if you want to do pre-med, engineering, computer science, or popular major at UCs, right? So challenging classes, that's very important. And the next thing is going to be strong scores. So I'm going to talk about the changes in the score policy for the UCs later on, but strong score is going to be very, very important for any college. You know, these college, because of the COVID, the many colleges came out last year, they were either test blind or test optional. I don't think the COVID is going to continue. If you're a junior, when you apply for the college this year, I think it's going to go back to normal, right? The normal like policy or the admission policy. So normal meaning that if the colleges used to require SAT or ACT scores, they're going to do that. Right. Many colleges like IBs and hidden IBs this year or last year, they came out, they did like test optional. I don't think that none of the top schools went test blind, but it was like test off. If it is test optional, you're gonna have to take that chance, right? Especially if you're looking at UCLA, UC Berkeley, and that level colleges or higher. Definitely, you're gonna have to submit your SAT scores. Okay, so strong scores. Now, scores meaning not just the SAT or ACT, but also AP test scores and SAT subject test scores, and I'm gonna talk about that later. Extraordinary extracurriculars. All right, so that is very, very important. Now, I'm gonna talk a lot more later on. Okay, and engaging essays. So your essays have to be very, very good. So if you're applying for the UCs, then you're going to be writing 4 essays, and each essay is going to be 350 words. And those essays are no play. I mean, it's not joke at all. All right. So you're really going to have a very strong essay. Now, sometimes students ask me, okay, my academic profile is not too strong, my extracurricular profile is not too strong, but if I write a very powerful essay, do I have a chance to get in? Yes and no. All right, so it depends on like what kind of essay that you're going to write. Now, many parents and students confuse that the writing college essays are just equal to like writing essays for your English class. And you could say, well, I'm taking AP Lang, I'm taking AP Lit, I'm getting in that class. That doesn't guarantee you that your essay is going to be powerful. Right? And that's because your college essays are not like given topic from your English teacher and write about that topic. College essays are about you, right? So you're gonna write about you on these essays. So UC is gonna give you 8 essay prompts for you to choose, and you're gonna have to choose 4. And if you had very like plain and straightforward and nothing like really exciting or happened in your life for like 4 years during the 4 years in high school, essay is going to be pretty tough. And I get the many students who go through that experience every year, right? So I'm going to talk about like how your essays could be powerful or standing out later, but the essays is very, very important. So can essay replace grades? No, unless like you have very, very powerful story to share, okay? And a little luck. I mean, this is a little joke, but it's not a joke, right? So it really depends on like who's gonna read your application. So if the application reader is like the rookie, all right, so first time reading the application, I'm pretty sure that that person's gonna go by book, and it's gonna be like really tough, right? So if you're a religious person, you better pray, right? So meeting what kind of application reader, I mean, that is also very, very, I mean, I don't want to say very, very important, but you know, they're good, all right? They're gonna go by rules, right? But it depends on like who's gonna read your application. That's out of our, you know, your control. So these are the basic, the elements or the requirements for like getting into a college. Now, UC requirements, 15 A to G classes. So you're gonna have to take a certain number of classes in history, English, math, science, art, foreign language, and college private elect. Now, you don't have to worry about this because you're going to school in this area, right? And then your school knows it. So all the classes that you're taking, it's meeting the 15 A to G classes from the UC. However, as far as GPA is concerned, the UC, so on your transcript, you know, whether you go to Doherty High or any other high schools here, you're going to see your transcript, and your transcript usually have three different grades, all right, so or GPA. So one is unweighted GPA, and then weighted GPA, and it says A to G weighted GPA or weighted A to G GPA. So that weighted A to G GPA is for the UC GPA and also the California State Universities, right? So that meaning that 15 classes that you take under the category from A to G is very, very important for the UCs. Minimum 3.0 GPA, and as I said, UC is going to collect your GPA from 10th and 11th only. And when you look at the 3.0 GPA and you say, whew, I'm okay. No, right? So as I said that if your unweighted GPA is 3.0, oh my goodness, it's going to be really, really tough, right? So definitely you're going to have at least like a 3.5 in order for you to challenge like UC Riverside and UC Santa Cruz, depending on the majors. Preferably, I know academically everybody's different, but if you can have like 4.0 GPA, yes, then you're talking, right? Now, SAT or ACT scores, we don't know what's going to happen, but do you all remember like last May that UC came out and they announced that they are not going to take or consider the SAT and ACT scores any longer. But when that announcement was made, most of the UCs were going, or they wanted to go test optional, except two schools. I think UC Berkeley was definitely one of them, and I forgot the other school. But two schools said, I think it was UC Santa Barbara, and they said that we're going to go test blind whatsoever, right? And what happened after that was, remember like the Alameda Superior Court, the decision, the court order was that UCs cannot take the SAT or the ACT scores for the last year's admissions or this year's admissions. And that was because of like College Board, they had to cancel the test centers. So the order is still valid. All right, so COVID is still on. So if this COVID stays until junior, so you apply for the colleges, then UCs cannot use your SAT or ACT scores. So does that mean that you don't have to take SAT or ACT? You could take a chance. I mean, you could gamble, but my recommendation, no, go ahead and take it. Because first reason, UC is not going to be the only schools that you're going to apply for, right? And there's going to be other schools, especially like if you want to challenge, pretty good, the selective or highly selective private colleges, then yes, they're going to ask you the SAT or ACT scores. So you're going to do that anyways. The second reason, when you submit SAT or ACT scores, it's not going to be used for the admission purpose or admission process, but your English score is going to be considered for class placement. So that means, let's say that you got admitted to UCLA and you are about to take English class, but because your SAT English score is pretty high, UCLA is going to say that you don't have to go through the freshman English. So you could take like the second level or this, sophomore level English, or you can skip the first or second level, the English class that you have to take in your freshman year. So, SAT and ACT scores are not for the admission process, but the scores can be used for the class placement, right? So for that purpose, still, if you have SAT or ACT scores ready, it's good. So what's going to happen to March test? A lot of people, juniors, you signed up for the March test. My wild guess, probably like less number of testing centers going to be canceled, but still I'm afraid that California is going to face a little big challenge for the test centers. So what do you have to do? Now, if you are, or if you want to major in engineering, computer science, pre-med, or business from the UC, I would suggest that look into the test centers out of state. And actually, I had pretty good number of students from last year who went through our the summer SAT bootcamp program. They actually flew out of state, and they went to like Iowa even, or Idaho. Many of them went to Oregon. Some went to Nevada, Colorado, and they actually took the SAT test. And that was because not for the UCs, but they were applying for other colleges with those popular majors. Right. So this year, I think it's gonna be better than last year, but I don't wanna gamble on this. So if you signed up for the March test, and let's say the March test centers get canceled, then definitely I strongly suggest you to sign up maybe for the places in other places, other like places in other state. So definitely that's something that you should consider. Okay. And let's see. Yes. So SAT and ACT still is a very important. Sophomores, usually sophomores come and join our SAT bootcamp. All right. So if you haven't taken the SAT or ACT diagnostic test, please call the front desk and make a schedule for the diagnostic test. And after taking that test, then we'll meet either myself or Mr. Chan, my assistant director, and we're going to go over your test score, and then we'll talk about the summer program. Should you do the SAT or not? Yes, you should. Definitely 100%. All right. But if you're only going to do SAT, if you're only going to apply for UCs and CSU, and that's the only schools that you're going to apply for, then I would say you might not have to, right? But for the better, benefit for your, higher chance for you to go to like UCs, I still want to say like, do it. Because I think the SAT and ACT for like in 2 years, it might vanish away, because UC's already made an announcement that they were like planning to come up with their own testing system, right? So unless that happens, the SAT or ACT is gonna be like, it's not good for the UCs any longer. But I wouldn't want to take that chance, because I don't know how soon the UC is gonna be ready for that kind of testing, right? So that's about the SAT or ACT scores for the UCs. And the next thing is the AP test scores. Strongly recommended. Now I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on the AP later on, but all the time, the AP test or AP test scores will always play a very important role for the UC admissions. Not so many students really consider that, but yes, definitely. So strongly recommended the AP test scores and SAT subject test scores, strongly recommended, especially, the engineering, computer science, and pre-med. Yes, you're gonna, it's like you're gonna have to have at least 2 or like 3 SAT subject test scores. Okay, so that is the UC requirements. Private colleges, they will consider your GPA from the 9th grade until the first semester of your senior year. All right, so depending on like which major that you're going to choose and which college that you're going to choose, the GPA requirement varies. Right? And so, as I said before, if you're considering Ivy, Stanford, MIT, Caltech, definitely, these schools gonna take your GPA from the 9th grade up until the first semester of your senior year, and they're gonna be looking for a 0.7 GPA. Now, there's one exception. Stanford has the same system as the UCs. So they will consider your GPA from the 10th and 11th only, but they're gonna be looking for 4.7 GPA. How am I gonna have that? Well, you're gonna have to take classes outside your school. So like online classes. So if you can take more AP classes from like an online school, like BYU Independent Study or Elite Open School, we have our own the online school. So that's gonna be like really great. So yeah, Stanford is very exceptional, okay? And the SAT or ACT score, yes, definitely. So IBs and hidden IBs, now they're gonna require the SAT or the ACT scores when the COVID is off, definitely. And many private colleges, they are now test optional, used to required, but now test optional. But what did I say? Always it's gonna be more benefit and you're gonna have better advantage if you have a high test scores, okay? Test blind meaning that, they don't care about your score, okay? AP test, definitely strongly recommended, okay? So if you're considering the top scores, you're gonna have to have AP test scores and SAT subject test scores too. So the IBs and hidden IBs, and definitely they're gonna require minimum 2, right? Minimum 2 to 3 SAT subject test scores. I think it's either Cornell or Columbia. If you want to the engineering major at either school, they ask you to have 1 math and 1 science SAT subject test score. Now, math SAT subject has math 1 and math 2, 2 different kinds of math tests. Don't do math 1, all right? It's no use, all right? So math 1 is very easy. So do math 2, and math 2 is it covers up to pre-calculus. It's not an easy test, right? So same thing, we have very good diagnostic test on math 2. So if you're taking or you already have taken the pre-calculus or honors pre-calculus, then definitely you are eligible to try SAT subject test in this coming June. So if you haven't tried our diagnostic test yet, please call the front desk and make a schedule for testing, okay? So this is the private college. So the overall admission requirements are just like this, and I'm not kidding on this, right? So, I mean, this is the, I guess, ideal kind of like profile that all these schools are looking for. So IB and hidden IB, like a Harvard, Stanford, MIT, U Chicago, and Northwestern, that's the kind of like GPA that they're looking for, and number of APs, like 15 plus APs that they want to see on your transcript. That's a lot, right? But it really depends on your school, because many of the schools in this area or these areas, they don't allow the freshmen to take any AP classes. So that's a big disadvantage, but like the sophomore and junior, you're really gonna have to go the max, right? And even the senior year too. And that's the SAT and the AP or the SAT subject test scores. So that's the AP scores. Now AP, there is a passing score. That's already a good score. Now UC is gonna be fine with that. But for the private colleges, so private, when I say private, meaning like the highly selective or most selective or the IB, hidden IB, you're really gonna have to have a lot more 5s than 4s, okay? Extracurricular activities. If you have like a lot of activities and you have like some, the leadership positions in these clubs and all, you're probably gonna feel very confident that it's all good activities and all. But you know what? That alone, like so many, like a president, vice president, that kind of leadership positions for many activities. But the reality is, how many leadership positions can you have from the club activities that you have, right? And also, the challenging part is that the many students who are going to apply for the IB and hidden IB, they're going to have pretty much the same academic profile and extracurricular profile, right? So what they are looking for is something like, it's an X factor, meaning that it's extraordinary, right? So the IBs are saying that, they want to find out about you and they Google your name and your name pops up, that's good, all right? And also the awards, like the international and national recognition. So competitions are kind of like a must that you're gonna have to do. And if you do any type of competition, not just like, math competition or math Olympiad or science Olympiad, but I'm talking about like sports and also music. If you go out for any type of competitions, then the IVs and Hidden IVs is going to be looking for awards at the national and international level. What about state level? What depends, right? But they're going to be looking for more of like the international and national level. And college essays, I mean, those colleges are going to really, really consider, I mean, they're going to take very, very carefully or very, very careful look at on your essays. And LOR stands for letter of recommendation, extremely important, right? So you're really gonna have to do your best to build up really good relationship with your teachers and counselor, because most of those schools are gonna ask you to submit the one recommendation letter from counselor and one or two recommendation letters from your teachers. So teachers teaching the class at the time that you apply for the colleges, right? So let's say that you're taking like an AP Chem and your teacher likes you because you're getting like really good grades and you're very active, and you feel like, okay, my teacher knows me really well. I mean, he likes me or she likes me. That does not mean that he or she is going to write you a strong recommendation letter, right? So, volunteer yourself, to do some work for your teacher, get noticed by your teacher, and not in a negative or positive way, right? So that close relationship with the teacher, so that teacher can find more about you, that's gonna give him or her much more information for them to write a very, very strong recommendation letter. So that is very important. UCs, they do not require recommendation letters, right? But the private college, definitely they do. So most selective, and even like a highly selective, the private colleges, they're gonna ask you to submit the LOR, okay? So this is the generally understood, the requirements for the different categories of the colleges in America. So this is a UC requirement, and you could do this. And yes, as I said, minimum 3.0 GPA, you still can apply for the UCs, but the chance for you to get in is very slim, especially for the popular majors. So that's the basic. So you could see that the category. So history and social science classes, they are in A category. All English classes is going to be B, math, that's C, and laboratory science classes, now that's going to be D. Now, psychology is not the lab science class. It's more like social science, right? And computer science depends. So it could be lab, or you could, it's not a lab science. And foreign language, it's only like 2 years. But if you are thinking about like the highly selective colleges or like an Ivy, then you're really gonna have to do 4 years of foreign language. So definitely like an AP foreign language is almost like strongly, almost required, meaning that I strongly recommend it. And the visual and the performing arts, that's 1 year, and that's the F category. And the college prep electives, 1 year, and that's G category, right? So that's the minimum. And this is the maximum that you can do. So as I said, that the high schools in this area, they don't allow you to do not so many of the honors or the APs in the 9th grade. That means you're really going to have to grab any chance. The chances that you have for you to take APs and honors in the 10th grade. So usually Doherty High, what I see from the Doherty High students in the 10th grade, 1 AP and 1 honors. That's the common the schedule that I see, but you're really gonna have to go for more than that, especially now I'm gonna be seeing a lot engineering, computer science, and pre-med, right? Because those are the popular majors, and because of the competitions, that you're really gonna have to make your class schedule or transcript stronger than the others, right? So if you're 9th grade right now, and you're gonna be 10th grade next year or this coming fall, please take more than, I mean, if your school allows you to take maybe 2 APs and so many honors, go for it. Right, so that's going to be important. Now, between the European history and the world history, I recommend the world. But a lot of schools that have tougher world history teacher than the European history teacher. Why the world history AP world? And that's because you can do SAT subject world history test after taking AP world. Unfortunately, there is no SAT subject European, right? So that's what you can do. And also 11th grade, I mean, literally you're really gonna have to paint all your class schedule with the APs, especially for the IVs and hidden IVs. Now, UCs, I said UCs will consider your GPA from 10th and 11th only. And every year I have just maybe 2 or 3 students, they had like pretty good number of APs up to the junior year, and all of a sudden the senior year, they only had like 1 or 2 APs. That's not good, right? And that's because most of the colleges, they are interested in the progressiveness of your study, right? So up to the junior year, and you're playing this admission game. So you took so many APs by the junior year, and senior year, good excuse is that, you're going to have to work on your college applications, and you just cannot handle so many APs. And you only have like 1 or 2 APs. I would say forget about IVs and hidden IVs. That's not going to happen, right? So you're really going to have like 4 or 5 APs for your senior year if you're considering the top schools. And even the use is the same, right? So if you have like 4 APs in your junior year or 3 APs in your junior year, still you're really going to have to take minimum 3 for your senior year, right? So even though the GPA is not going to be considered for UC admissions, but they're going to check how many rigorous classes that you have for or in your senior year. Okay, so this is maximum requirement. So how can you academically well prepare? Well, the obvious thing is good grades and challenging courses and strong test scores are must, right? So, no excuse on this. And not so obvious is it helps to have something else that shows a true love of learning. All right, so you might not like this true love of learning. I mean, who would do that? Going to class and learn and take tests. I mean, there are actually people who who are quite into like a love of learning, but that's something that college is going to be looking for. So instead of just taking the classes from your school, if you can do, or let's say take more classes from like community college, or you're using your summertime, or even like during your school time, that you're taking at least like 1 or 2 classes outside school, right? And then that's the not so obvious category, and colleges are looking for those. Now you can actually do that because a lot of colleges, a lot of high schools are giving you an opportunity for you to do concurrent enrollment. So you could take like maybe 3 classes or 4 classes in your school, and then you could take so many classes from a community college like a DVC or Los Positas. Now you're gonna have to be careful with that. When you do that, one thing that you have to keep it in your mind is when your application reader is reading your application, whether UC or CSU or private colleges, they're going to have your school information. So they will know how many AP classes are given in your school. So Doherty High, I think it's more than like 15 or close to 15, and you only have 1 or 2 APs, and now you're applying for the top school, but you have so many classes taken from the community college. But be careful with what you're gonna take from the community college, right? So you have like maybe 2 or 3 AP classes taken in your high school time, but you have this tons of like many classes from the community college, and your GPA is like 4.5 or 4.6, that's not gonna be equally weighted or equally considered as those people who have so many APs and less number of classes taken outside school, and they have 4.6 GPA, right? Because these college application readers are not dumb, right? They know certain classes that you can do from community college are even like very easy classes to get A's, right? So you really, when you choose the classes that you want to take from a community college, you're gonna have to be careful, especially if you want to challenge or if you want to apply for the top colleges with a strong major choice, okay? So academic preparation, now academic competition, if you can have this, very, very good. So math and science competition, like Math Olympiad, Science Olympiad, now that's gonna be very good. Speech and debate. Now, please do not misunderstand me. The speech and debate, a lot of students are doing it, but winning these regional competitions. So you have like a first, second, or third. That's pretty good, but that's not going to be good enough if you're thinking like hidden Ivies and Ivies, even like University of Chicago. So you're really going to have to win like a state level or the national level of competitions. So if you're thinking that, you've heard from somewhere, from somebody that, hey, the speech and debate is like a really strong extracurricular activity and you should do it. And that is like the main reason that you joined speech and debate, but you're not doing well, skip it, don't do it. All right, so if you don't show any amazing the experience or amazing like record that you can show to colleges, just being in the speech and debate, it's not going to work out. But on the other hand, you love speech and debate, right? You love to work on this topic and you love to compete. And you have like tremendous experiences, within that, doing the speech and debate, and those experiences can be a very powerful essay element. Then it's going to be okay, all right? But if you're just a mediocre like a speech and debater, and you're not like winning any speech and debate, then look for something else. Okay, modern you're on the same thing, mock trial, and all these, all good. The programs or the activities, but you're really gonna have to outshine. All right, so doing just this, yes, it's better than not having those, but you're really gonna have to show them that you did better than the crowd. Okay. Internships. Google internships for high school students. So that is dream internship, right? So during the summertime, you're really gonna have to look for some internships that you can do. So you kind of have to search around. The first place that you should search around is definitely Google, right? So just find out, just type in the internships for high school students during the summertime, and then it's gonna give you many, many lists. Another way for you can check the internship programs is check out the college websites, the college that you're interested in to apply later on, right? So the internship, that's very important. Now, sophomores usually that's not gonna work out because you have to like prep for the SAT. So the summertime is gonna be pretty like reserved or preoccupied with the SAT program. But if you're a junior right now, definitely look for some like challenging internship program this coming summer. A research program is very, very important, right? Very hard to get in, and not so many like choices out there, but definitely if you can join a research program from any college, now that's gonna be really great. So what you do is, I mean, definitely you could, do like Googling, but I think the best thing is go to the college website that you're interested in to apply later on. So let's say like in UC Berkeley, and then check out like physics department and see if you're interested in physics and see if there's any professor who's doing any research work. I mean, the website shows that, gives you that information. So if you find like one or two professors, then you make a resume and you send them the email message introducing yourself and also your resume. And just say that you're Professor such and such, and I read your research work, and I'm very interested in your research work, and it will be a great opportunity and honor for you to be a part of the research team to assist you. It will be really great. So that's probably one of the best ways for you to contact or have a research opportunity. So these are just the examples. And the next thing is summer programs in the area of interest. So language immersion program or summer college program from high school for high school students. So most of UC is going to offer pre-college programs. So that is, you're taking college level classes from those colleges. Now, not a lot, but some students come and they ask me, I'm about to sign up for this leadership program from UC Berkeley or even like a Harvard. And it's only like a 1 week program and it costs like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. is that gonna be like really good on your application? I don't think so. All right, so because the question that I got from like some other like admission people asking or talking was that, would you be a leader after going through the program? Right? Would you consider yourself as you became a leader after participating or attending the program? Because what they really want to see is proof. All right, something that you can show that you are a leader. How are you going to show that? All right, and that is not going to be just done by writing on your application, typing or writing, I was president of this club. It's not going to say that, right? So you're really going to have to talk about that. So the way that the admission office is going to acknowledge, and they're going to nod their heads and say, oh, wow, this guy's a leader. That is from when they have this report that you submit, that you write about, when they see that other people recognize you as a leader. All right. So if you're doing tutor, all right, so a lot of students, they try to do tutoring in school. Tutoring, a lot of students are going to do it. That's not going to make you shine out. But if there was one particular student, right, and you engaged him, and not just this guy was struggling with math, and you put this time and effort to help him for him to get D in his math class to A, that is an accomplishment. And you could talk about like how you helped them all those years along. All right. So you could be very detailed. You could be one very good essay topic. All right. So how you how you like met him, and how you plan, how you organize, how you analyze his weaknesses, and what kind of methodology or methodologies that you brought in that as you helped him, that he moved up from D grade to A grade. That is one successful story that you can share. So that's the kind of things that the admission office is going to be looking for. So one second, I know this sounds very depressive. It's not encouraging, but I heard from other like application readers were saying that when they read like so many applications, and the activity list, they see a lot of them, but it's only like, they were a member of it, and the activity description is so boring or so generic, they don't even care. All right, so they read really fast, all right? So especially the UC application readers. So if you have like UC is gonna give you 20 the choices or 20 numbers for you to list your activities, and all 20 of them don't sound exciting, they're not gonna even take a look at it. That's what they said. Right. So it's going to be very important. So even like my student, the college application students, if they like have nothing to like really write about or put on the list, then yes, let's put the club, this club, and you're a member of it, and we try to work on the description as much as we can. But please, if you're like a freshman, sophomore, and junior right now, junior is a little late right now. But if you're like a freshman, sophomore, try to think about what kind of extracurricular activity that you can have or that you want to do during the high school years, because it really is important, right? So club activity is not just the joking activity. I mean, it's something that you shouldn't think less about it, okay? So the summer programs and college classes at a local college, we talked about that. And online and distance learning courses. So you could take classes from any online school. Now, the Elite Open School, that's the online school name that we have. So many students and the parents never like really heard of the Elite Open School, and they were very doubtful about the validity of our classes. Is it good for the college admissions? Yes. So all the classes that you take from us, it's all UC approved. Right? So you're going to have no flaw. It's going to be okay or perfectly fine when you submit your applications. Now, when you take classes from outside school, there are two things that's going to happen to you. Your school's going to accept the grades from the classes that you took outside. So if that's so, that's going to be great. But if your counselor says that, I'm sorry, John, this class we cannot accept and we cannot put it on your transcript, don't be panicked, all right? So that's perfectly fine, Because if you took any classes from like a BYU independent study and your counselor said, no, it's not gonna be on your transcript, well, you're gonna submit a separate transcript to the colleges that you're gonna be applying for, and you're gonna order the official transcript from BYU, right? And when the colleges receive all your transcript, your high school and BYU, they're gonna recalculate your GPA, right? So don't worry about it. So doing more classes outside, if it is like, if you can do it, I strongly recommend that. So the bottom line is you're going to college to get an education, higher education. So show that you love to learn, okay? Now, the next thing is the extracurricular activities. As I've been saying it, it's very, very important. It's becoming more important for the college admissions. So the obvious thing is that colleges like to see students get involved in extracurricular activities, but that's not it. So the not so obvious thing is what exactly are college admission officers looking for? That is important. It's not just a choice of yours, but you're really gonna have to look into the stuff or the things that college admission officers are looking for. So what are they looking for? So they're gonna ask you these questions. The first question is, has the time you spent on the activity been productive? Productive. So you're a member of this club, and on your college application, you're saying, I was a member of this club and I attended weekly meeting and I did. That's generic description and it's not welcomed, right? So becoming an officer, right? Becoming a leader in your group or in your club, that's gonna give you a better advantage because you're gonna do more work than just a member, right? It's not just the title that's gonna say anything, but you will have more things to talk about if you become a leader in your club. So has time you spent on the activity been productive? And the next thing is, what kind of leadership or initiative have you demonstrated? This is another thing. So I'm repeating myself, just putting down the president, vice president, or secretary for your club is not gonna speak much at all. So it really depends on how you describe or what you describe, about your activities, right? Have you received outside recognition for your work, right? So it's like impacting people in your group and also outside the people in the community, right? So the recognition meaning like, do they see you as a leader? Or did you get any certificate or did you guys go out for competitions and win any awards? That's recognition. So rather than looking for particular activities, now colleges look for strong personal qualities. So it's not like naming all these activities, but what you did for or in that activity. So that's strong personal. So the things that they're going to be looking for: competence and effectiveness and curiosity and passion, focus, leadership, high energy level, responsibility, maturity, character, and cooperation and sustained commitment. So these are the things that they're going to be looking for, right? So by now you're probably like, oh my gosh, how can I go to college now? I don't have that many like really good activities. Well, don't be disappointed, right? Don't get discouraged yet. Even though you're a junior, there is a way for you to make your extracurricular activity list strong. So we'll talk about that later. So the bottom line is you can demonstrate positive qualities through pretty much any activity and find things you enjoy and do them well. And by spending time and putting forth a sustained effort in those activities, you will develop the qualities and traits that colleges value. So let me pause there for a minute. A lot of students don't want to do something actively. I mean, they don't want to move. And this always been one of the biggest troubles that the parents had to or have to go through, right? Totally understandable, right? So usually like a teenage, I was one of you, in that age, and I went through that stage before. The college admissions these days is very different from the colleges when I went to, or even like, 5 or 10 years ago. It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. And the many colleges are looking for I guess the students with a quality life, right? So if you're spending like a lot of time on like, playing video games, or like watching YouTube and Netflix, I'm not saying that's wrong. I mean, that's your hobby. I mean, if, you could relax by doing all those, that's fine. But if you're doing those kind of things, which is more considered as recreation than what you're supposed to be doing, I have to say you should stop doing those, right? Because I guarantee you, by the time when you apply for the colleges, you're going to regret 500%. 500% that you wasted all your time doing something not valuable, putting all this time on something that is so wasted away than something that could have prepared you then for you to be able to put your first step on the next stepping stone for you to cultivate your future. All right. So college admission is not a joke. It's not a like, child play. It's getting tougher and tougher. And the college are really, really looking for more like better qualified the applicants. So if you've been like really relaxing, everything is going easy. I mean, if your parents are, like not like really pushing you, so like whichever college that you go to, that's gonna be fine, but the value of your life is gonna be important, that's fine. But if you really want to succeed in your career, right? So like an engineering or any of those type, you're really going to have to put time and effort to that. Okay. All right. So don't ask what will help me or help you get into college, but instead ask yourself the following questions. What am I good at? And what do I enjoy? And what do I want to learn? And what do I care about? And how can I make a difference? All right. So these are the things that you should ask yourself. I know, what am I good at? That's a tough question for many of you guys. That's fine, but try to find what you're good at. Don't tell me that, Mr. I have like nothing that I'm good at. No, you're a big liar. You say that because you really haven't seen that potential yet, right? And everybody has at least one area, one thing that you could do so good. And that's something you're gonna have to find out. Do you enjoy playing video games? Well, playing video games is gonna be okay, but don't stop there. Try to create your own video game. All right, that's much more like advancing in that area. And UC Irvine, and I think UC Santa Barbara this year, they came up with the gaming design or game designing major. And we predict that in future, that more and more colleges is going to open up these game designing majors because of the popularity, because of the demands in gaming industry, billions and billions of dollars every year, right? But that doesn't mean that you become like world-class game player or gamer, and then you could go to just. They're still gonna look for your GPA. They're still gonna look for your extracurricular activities and all right? So this is gonna be really, really important, okay? All right, test scores. So there is SAT or ACT and AP test scores and SAT subject test scores. Now these are the three main test scores that you kind of have to provide for the college admissions. Now, SAT subject test is becoming more and more important. I mean, it's always been, but through the COVID time and in future, I think this is going to be a lot more important. And that's because of one thing, especially the UCs. And that's because UC is knocking down SAT and ACT test scores, right? So a lot of students last year, they were kind of like easygoing, or they thought that the UC admissions were going to be a lot easier because test line. Well, if the thing that you have to remember is this: SAT or ACT always played very, very important role for college admissions. All right. So if the college come and they say, okay, we're gonna cancel, we're gonna go test blind, that means they're not gonna consider SAT score any longer or ACT score any longer, but that place where SAT or ACT was on has to be replaced with something else. What would that be? how are they gonna evaluate or how are they gonna estimate your education level so that they're gonna, they're gonna decide, they're gonna be convinced that, oh, Steve is really good for our college, we're gonna accept him. Remember, extracurricular activities are all good, but you're speaking college, you're speaking college education. And the high school grades is going to be really, really important. So how are they going to evaluate the things that you learn from your high school? So definitely GPA is going to be the first one, as I said before. But the next thing, if the SAT and ACT are all gone, then what are they going to do? Are they going to come up with their own system, test system? You know what? Making their own testing system, it would take millions of dollars. So I'm not sure how UC is going to do this. I mean, they have a lot of money, so they can come up with that, but it's not going to be done like overnight. It's going to take some time. So in the meantime, they come up with some other option to replace SAT and ACT to evaluate the education level or the knowledge level of their incoming students. They're going to have to go with some things that they have in their hands. So two things. One, AP test scores. Second, SAT subject test scores. So to me, if you're going to apply for the UCs for the next like 2 or 3 years, AP and SAT subject tests going to play much more important role than any like previous years. All right. So SAT subjects, Math 2, it's a must. It's a must, especially if you're doing engineering, computer science, and pre-med, even business major, right? And that's because I mean, a lot of students, engineering students will complain to me saying that, Mr. Why do I have to do like, why do I have to take AP Lang or A Push, since I'm doing like engineering major in college? Well, it's not math and science that college is going to be interested in. It's the overall performance in academics, right? So whether you do business or like a liberal art, English or history, if you can provide Math 2 SAT subject test score, it's going to be really good. But engineering, computer science, you must have the Math 2 test score, right? Pre-med, it's almost you must, right? So SAT math, the subject Math 2, you have to have it. The second thing is whenever you take an AP Biochem or physics, do SAT subject biochem or physics test. You need that score, right? And some students are saying, I mean, I got like 4 or 5 on AP test, and why do colleges want to see SAT subject? Well, it's a different way for the colleges to see how good you are, or did you learn right in that AP Chem or AP Bio or AP Physics, right? So most of the SAT subject tests that you're gonna have to take AP classes along. So if you're taking AP Bio this year or AP Chem this year, then definitely go for it. Now for the engineering major, physics, AP Physics is many times required or strongly recommended. All right, so as long as you have AP Physics by the senior, you're gonna be fine. But if you're challenging MIT, Caltech, Carnegie Mellon, these top schools, if you are allowed to take AP Physics in your junior year, then that's gonna be the best, right? But if your school does not allow you, juniors, to take AP Physics, but only for the seniors, then try to take AP Bio or AP Chem instead, right? And I understand, either like a Dublin or Cal High, physics is required before AP Physics. So that's gonna be tough. So if that's the case, now you're gonna have to take like a physics in your junior year, but try to take one or another science class. So AP Bio or AP Chem, okay? So that score is going to be important. And as I said, like AP World or a Push, then you could do SAT Subject World or Subject US History. Now, I forgot to mention the literature. So if you can do AP Literature class in your junior year, then go for the SAT Subject Literature. So especially like you are challenging or you're going to apply for the Ivy League and these top schools, and even like UCLA, UC Berkeley, and you want to do major in English or political science, like literature, that the liberal art majors, then providing SAT subject like a world history, US history, or literature score is going to be very, very advantageous, okay? And the last thing is when you take an AP foreign language, then yes, definitely you could do the SAT subject foreign language class, right? So this is the SAT subject. Challenges from the online learning. This is like a really big issue since last year because the COVID happened and everything went online. And we've been getting like a lot of like complaints and the troubles from many, many students, from the elite students. So this is not just from this branch, because we have like over 50 branches like along, like within the state, in America and also outside country. Many students were like, they were complaining. They were having like really hard time. So the number one complaint that we had was, we're not learning enough. How do they know whether they are learning enough or not? Well, they tried like an AP test, or they tried the AP test material, and it was like, oh my gosh, I mean, we're not ready. And they were kind of like worried that they were not going to be ready for the AP test. And why is that? Why they are not learning enough? The second complaint or issue was teachers are not teaching. A lot of students were saying that. My AP like a push teacher is not teaching at all. I mean, she just gives us like in this video to watch and that's it. So teachers are not teaching, and the next thing is teachers are not prepared. I think this year is a little better than the last year, but especially like last spring and fall, oh my goodness, I had like tons of complaints from the students in this area. Teachers are not prepared. And the next thing was curriculum is not organized. So students do not know what they're learning. And the next thing is test questions are out of lecture materials. I mean, this happens all the time, whether online or offline. So if the test questions are out of lecture materials, then how can you get like really good grades on your test, right? And the last thing is online is not for me. Many students say that. So if you fall into this and you're not doing well in your AP classes, what are you going to do? Are you going to say on your college application that, you know what, my teachers were not ready for online teaching? Isn't just the excuse, which is not going to be acceptable, right? So the thing is, you're really going to have to make the outside the opportunity for you to strengthen your learning. So the thing is, as I said, AP test scores are becoming much more important for college admissions. And that is because, as I mentioned before, because teachers are not prepared to teach AP classes like last year. And colleges came to know that, right? And so either two things. So the teachers just went so easy with the students, and students got so many students got A's from AP classes, which are not supposed to happen that way. So when they found out, what the colleges did was they moved their focus on the AP class grades to AP test grades. So last year, the AP tests were modified, but this year, I don't think that the college board is going to do that. So how you're going to do on your AP test, it's going to be more important than ever before. So AP class is becoming more and more and more important, especially for the UCs. That's what we forecast, all right? So don't celebrate that UC is eliminating the SAT and the ACT scores and it's gonna be easier for it. No, it is not, all right? And colleges will focus on the AP test scores much more than before. So you see the importance of the AP classes, all right? So once again, I mean, whether you do econ major in like UC Santa Barbara or UC like Irvine, still you're gonna have to have some AP classes and good AP test scores. So please, if you're not doing well in your AP classes, then you're gonna get your gear up, do something about it. If it is because you didn't study much, then put time to this, all right? But if you need help, we have tutoring service. So contact us so that we could provide you the extra help service so that you can move up or you could raise your grades, all right? So AP, so much important. The next thing is going to be summer activities. This coming summer, especially for the juniors, is going to be extremely important. So by the end of this spring semester, and if your the GPA is not strong enough, you better think about something. I wish I could be in that. Gosh, that still look good. All right, GPA boost up. All right, so you know what colleges that you want to apply for, but your GPA is not like a high enough, then definitely use the summertime to boost up your GPA. Now, which is going to be more important for you to have more like the extracurricular activities for the summer or taking classes from online or community college. If it is a GPA matter, forget about extracurricular activities. Do take classes, even 2 or 3 or even 4, and make your GPA boost up, especially for the UCs, right? They're going to consider the GPA or the grades from the classes you took right before you submit your applications to the UCs, right? So GPA is, once again, that's the most important factor for college admission. So use the summertime to do that. And research program. Now, we don't know how the thing's gonna go. Still, it's a COVID time, but I searched and many colleges and many institutes are coming up with in-person program tentatively, but they are opening the online like research program. So that's something that you could Google and find out. So research program, but these programs usually require application package. And usually the deadlines are like end of January, February, or sometimes March. So better, do some research if you are if you are junior right now. An internship program, same thing. All right, so check out your college websites, the college that you're interested in, and find out what kind of internship program they do offer. But internship and research, probably the best chance that you're going to have, or better chance that you're going to have, is to contact contact directly to the person who's doing like or offering internship or the research opportunity. Okay. And pre-college program, I talked about this. So most of the colleges is going to have like pre-college program, expensive. So any college that you want to do, it's going to cost your parents around like $3,000 up to $5,000. It could be 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or sometimes 4 weeks program. Still, it's worth it. All right. So that if you do that, then that's going to definitely boost up your extracurricular activity list. So please consider this. And the next thing that I want to introduce you is the extracurricular activities that we, Lee Corporate, created. And the things that I'm going to talk about is very good programs. So if you choose to do any of these, it's going to help your application very much. So what we heard from many admission offices is that they do understand that because of the COVID, that many students really couldn't do any activities because they're staying at home. But it's acceptable, but it's not excusable, right? So, excusable, but it's not acceptable. So what they said was, you should try to do something creative, right? Something that you could do by yourself or through online, right? So the programs that we created for the past, like, I don't know, about like 6 to 8 months, extremely good programs. I mean, I went through the programs and it's going to help you very much. It's all legit programs. And if you go through this program, definitely it's going to provide you something that you could write about, either for your essay, or definitely it's going to be one of the top extracurricular activities that you can list on your application. So the first thing is going to be the art of photography. What am I going to do with the photography? Well, any activity is going to be fine, but it's just not, we're not going to teach you how to take picture, but it's the art of photography. So what I want you to do is I'm just going to go through the names and I'm going to give you the website for you to go and check out more detailed information. So the art of photography, very strong, very good program. Now this got a lot of students' attention and many students joined this program. The data science and Python, I think the program is starting maybe like end of this month. So please check out our website. So data science and Python, this is a class, this is the extracurricular program that you can do. Fundamentals of board game design. This is not like video game designing, but it's a board game design. And actually the corporate person demonstrated this, really interesting. So you might want to check out, right? So kind of like an easy things to do, but it's very creative. And I'm pretty sure that, if you put this thing on the activity list for college applications, the reader's going to be pretty much interested in. And the next thing is going to be fundamentals of investing. How many people want to go into like, the financing or stock market, Wall Street, like you want to become an entrepreneur? Now, this is going to help you very much. When this was presented to me, gosh, I was like very excited. I wish I had this when I was in college. Then probably I was going to take, I would have taken like investment major instead of like pre-med, right? So very interesting program. You're going to learn a lot. And intellectual colloquium. Now this is, if you're especially interested in like speech and debate or like, discussion and debate, this is going to be very, very good. All right, so it's a kind of like a brand new program. So please go and check out the website for more information. And Math Competition Club. So this is designed for the 6th through 8th grade. So if you have a younger brother or younger sister who's in 6th and 8th, and they're pretty strong in math, definitely I want to recommend this program. And for you guys, it's a Math Competition Club, 9th through 12th grade. So it's the math competition, it's gonna actually happen, right? So it's not you're just learning like math and all, but it's more for the competition ready, right? So please check it out. And this is going to be another very powerful program. So it's a research proposal program. So research proposal program is how you're going to make a research. Right? It's not just writing about research work that you did like during the summertime or something, but it's making a proposal for your research. Now, I think this is going to be very, very helpful for your college. Right? It's a creative writing. Right, so you're making not just the research, but if you go through this program, I think you're going to be very, I don't know, I don't want to say like an expert, but you're going to have pretty good idea of a proposal or writing a proposal for a project, right? So please take a look at it. It's going to be really good. And screenwriting workshop. Are you strong in writing? Are you a poet? Or are you like, love reading like literature and all? Please try this. We have I guess one of the best teachers for this screenwriting workshop. I think we already done this one program, 2 programs before, and we had very positive feedbacks from the students who went through this program. So please, check out this screenwriting workshop. Any type of like a screenwriting or the writing, the program is going to be really good for your college application activity list. So this is the website that you should remember. And so it's eliteprep.com. You're going to find out all the extracurricular activities that I just introduced to you. And eliteopenschool.org. Now you're going to find every class that we offer for you to try, for you to take. All right, so please check it out. Now there is one other program that we recently came up with, and that is through the Elite Open School. The Elite Open School is not just an online school, it's a high school, right? So we recently made a very strong relationship with the Minerva University. Now, many people are not familiar with the Minerva. Minerva University is nation's one of the top universities. It's not well known. They have very unique way of educating their students. So the way that they implement or the conduct the class is going to be very different from like how you are used to. But graduating from Minerva University is almost equally good as like a Harvard University. So in the education circle, the Minerva has name value. And it was very fortunate that the chairman of the Elite Corporation had like very serious meeting with the chairman of the Minerva University, and we have like the connections or the like relationships. So the Elite Open School, we have the high school program for the Minerva University, right? So you can actually enter you can't go to like public school and then Elite Open School for the program. You have to enroll as an Elite Open School student in order for you to take an advantage of Minerva University program. So you go through the 4 years of the program with Elite Open School, and the chance for you to get into the Minerva University is going to be extremely high, right? And so they're going to have much more information. So check that out. And if you can't find the information, then let me know. So that's one of the programs that we're going to strongly promote a lot about, because I'm astonished. I mean, long years ago, I visited this university down in Southern California. It's not well-known university, but the people graduated from that university did so well in their career field. And it wasn't because their programs are so like highly the economic, it's the way that university taught their students. And it's not like a teacher lecturing or writing the things on the board and just students taking note and taking the test, it's way different type of the education system they brought in. And man, there are like a lot of discussions in class. It's like a lot of interactions between the teacher or the professor and the students. And we had a privilege of like attending or watching how the class was operated. It was really, really good. And Minerva University has a very similar system. So please check it out. It'll be very helpful. So parents, if you're interested in, if you want to send your child to that school, it's going to be very, very helpful. And these are the programs that we are offering this summer. So all these AP test prep that we're going to provide, and we have excellent teachers for each program, and each program is going to be 10 weeks, starting in February 26th until May 1st or 2nd. And let's say that you're taking AP Physics, and we don't have AP Physics here because it's not popular class. But if you wanna go through our AP Physics program, we have other branches offering AP Physics. So don't worry, even though it's not listed here, then we could find a branch which offers the AP Physics test prep program. And the next thing is the SAT subject test. So Math 2, one of the most popular, and I'm so proud of our Math 2 prep class because it's very powerful. And the practice test that we have, it's all elite made, and it's very, very challenging test. So if you can score like 700 on our test, it's like 750 or a little higher than 750 on the actual test. So that's how good our tests are, okay? And the SAT subject bio, now please try not to do ecology. If you're considering pre-med, then please do molecular biology, right? And also US history, chemistry. And if you don't see any list here or the thing that you're interested in and we're not offering it, please let me know. Then we could find the branch which offers the SAT subject test prep that you're interested in. And the College Application Service Program is coming up. So if you're a junior, please consider our College Application Service Program. We are so proud that so many, I would say like, over 80 or 90% of the students actually got into the college they wanted to go to for the past few years. So our College Application Service Program is very strong, and the program is starting in April, but we are taking the enrollment right now. So what's going to cover in the application program? We're going to work on the college list for you. So based upon the profile that you provide us, we're going to work on the college list with major choice for each college, but at the same time that we're going to ask you to come up with your own college list. So we're going to compare the college list and finalize the list down to maybe 20 or less. And that is going to be very important because you're going to have to know what colleges you're going to be applying for. All right. And also you're going to have to choose the right colleges for you. Because a lot of students come and they have these dream colleges and they put so many colleges on the, like the far reach level. That's not good. So we be like really realistic and very, very like to the rock bottom. And then we'll prepare the college list for you. And name brand schools, in many cases, is not the best school for your major choice. All right, so we're going to try to find the best, definitely, but at the same time, it's going to be the most fit colleges that you can apply for. All right, so the college list with major. Essay prompt choice. So before you're going to get connected with your personal essay coach. Now you and I, or you and my assistant director, we are the counselors for the college application program. We'll go over the essay prompt choices for each college. So you're going to be working on 3 main applications. That's going to be UC, Common App, and Coalition App. So all these the applications is going to require like UC's 4 essays, Common App 1 essay, and Coalition 1 essay. CSE application does not require any essays. All right, so these applications, the essay, as I said, is extremely, extremely important. How are you going to write your essays? You could really direct the direction from fail to success. So my role is help you decide which essay prompt that you're going to do, because UC is going to give you 8 essay prompt choices. Common App is going to give you 7, and Coalition App is going to give you 5, I believe. So out of all these choices, you're going to have to choose the right one. So I'll ask you to do the rough draft, and we'll try to decide which essay prompt choices for each application. And then you're going to be connected to your personal essay coach. So depending on which package that you're going to sign up for, you're going to have either 12 hours of personal essay coaching time or 20 hours of personal essay coaching time. So if you have like 20 hours And if you have like 20 college list or colleges on your list, then I strongly recommend to sign up for the 20-hour personal essay coach package because you're going to be needing that time. So it's got to be personal. So that's one-on-one, all right? So you're going to be spending the time with your personal essay coach until completing all your essay requirements. I know the time is like way over. One thing that you have to keep it in your mind is that private colleges usually ask you to do a 1, 2, 3, or more supplemental essays. And out of all the supplemental essays, there's why this university essay. That is very, very important. So, we'll help you to do some research, how you should write the why essay for the colleges that you apply for. It's going to be a lot of benefit if you join the program. And activity list, I could talk about this, all night long. So it's not just you're just, describing what you did in your from your clubs or from your activity. Common App is really, really difficult. And that is because they only give you 150 characters for you to describe, not 150 words, 150 characters for you to describe all these things that you did in high school years. That's crazy. So a lot of people, when I saw or when I see the activity list that students did, it's not gonna do it. All right. So I spent like a lot of time working on the activity list and then actual filling out the application. So you're really gonna have to know the strategy of like working on your application. Mr. Ray, is that just simply like filling in the gap and answering the question? No, it is not, right? So it's much more complicated than what you can think. So activity list and application fill out, that's really important. And when you're about to ready to submit your application, then myself or Mr. Chan, that we're gonna review, we're gonna do the overall review on your applications, and we're gonna give you signs saying, okay, it's good to submit, right? And also when we work on your college list, we're gonna decide, depending on your profile, whether you should do early action or not. All right, so there are 3 different types: early action, early decision, restricted early. I don't have time to explain all this. You can find a lot more later on. So if your profile is really good, then we're gonna suggest you, hey, Steve, let's do early. All right, so if you do early, then you have to get the application package ready by either 15th of October or November 1st. And if you submit it, and then you will get the answers from these early action schools starting from December 15th, right? So we're so proud this year and last year that we had like an early action applicants. And this year we had 1 student who got into Stanford early action. So that was like really big news for us. And last year, like, Harvard and Cornell, Columbia. So, we had pretty record last year. And this year, we already got some very good results for those students who did the early action. And I'm so proud of those students. I mean, they did, all their work, but I'm just happy that we had the opportunity to help them with their application. So if you're a junior, please consider our college application program. And this is all I have for today. Gosh, I spoke more than 2 hours. All right, so if you have any questions, this is Q&A time. So if everybody's okay, then I'm gonna let you go. I just want to thank you so much. I mean, 2 hours, that's a long time. But I really sincerely hope that all the information that I shared with you, was like very informative. But if you still have any questions, if you want to meet in private, and then, the questions for the private meeting, then please call the front desk and schedule a meeting with me or with Mr. Chan, and then we'll take your questions and try to provide the best answer for your questions. Okay. All right. So I want to thank you so very much for attending this seminar, and let's stay healthy and safe. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.